Hello, Kako. My name is Tony Castagna. I've been the coordinator of the annual Indigenous Peoples Day, annual Papal Bulls Burning event, and I would first of all like to thank Pono Ke Aloha for all of his work over the years and helping us to streamline this information onto Olelo. I've gotten a few people that have come up and they've said that they've seen the show, and so it's great that we're able to get the information out, so we thank him very much. Yeah, we're here to, as we've been saying, uncommemorate Discoverers Day, or Columbus Day as it's known in the United States. Last year we had a pretty significant event. We received quite a bit of media coverage, and one of the dilemmas, however, is that some people still aren't able to kind of piece together how the past having to do with this day informs the present. Yeah, what we're doing today has everything to do with what's happening today. Yeah, KHON did a story last year, and they did a pretty good job, and I thank them for coming out. However, some of the comments to the piece were, about how we're kind of living in the past and how we need to get over it. But of course, the past and its ideology, the ideology of exploitation, domination, subjugation, genocide, slavery, informs us today. These things are still happening today. So this ideology, of 500 years is still a part of the present. So our movement is about addressing the past, present, and future. We've taken back the day as Indigenous Peoples Day. We're moving forward into the future. This year we're also planning to lobby the legislature to formally change the name from Discoverers Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. This is happening in a number of states in the U.S. Indigenous Peoples Day sort of commemorates or addresses all Indigenous peoples having been affected by this history and by this decree. I'd like to make maybe a final point about Discoverers Day and Cook's voyages here. Yeah, Captain Cook. I was just teaching Hawaiian sovereignty in the Pacific class, and we were going over some of the information about Cook, and he's kind of portrayed more in terms of more in terms of having come here on a scientific mission. Yeah, his voyages are seen as a little more benign than the Columbian voyages. But however, I asked myself, how is it that he was mapping, charting, categorizing, renaming everywhere he went? Yeah, what was behind that? And also, when the British left these islands, they left a surge of disease that devastated the Kanakamole population. I mean, many people were affected. So I asked myself, how in the world was that a scientific voyage? Yeah, really what Cook was doing was planting the future imperial seeds of exploitation, commercialization, militarization, and the eventual overthrow of the Hawaiian kingdom. So really his voyages weren't so much scientific as they were imperial.
Hello, my Christian name is Joe Garcia. My Taino name is Kaonabo. Kaonabo means big gold or man of gold. And in 1492, a sailor, we call him a mercenary, named Cristobal Colon, Cristofero Colombo, or any other name he used. Now it's Christopher Columbus, to anglicize it, stumbled into our land, lost. And we helped him. We aided him according to our indigenous ways, according to our indigenous culture. If you're tired, sleep. If you're hungry, we feed you, right? We welcome you in. We didn't know it was going to be the destruction that he brought over. He brought over mass genocide enslavement for my people. And like Tony was saying, unless you know and study history, we're all doomed to repeat it. So please never forget. My birthday actually is tomorrow, October 12th, and I think the Creator did that so I can always remember. So I will never forget, you know. So I want to say han to all you people. Thank you for coming.
My name is Evelyn, and I'm not a public speaker, but there's a couple things I wanted to say. Tony said a lot of them. I could never understand how anyone could think it was okay, like you read your history books. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. He came here, he planted the flag, the people who lived there gave him food. Like, what? How could you take their land when somebody lived there? And I could never understand how that was allowed to happen. They didn't just lay there, roll over, and let him take it. And so something is clearly wrong with our educational system. And we say Columbus discovered America, and because we call the United States of America, America often, we forget that there's 42 countries in the Americas. Columbus never landed in what we now know as the United States of America, yet we have a holiday for him here. And I Googled some information, it took me a couple hours, but I found out that the only one person with more statues than Columbus is Jesus. Columbus is number 2. And the only individual with a holiday to his name in the United States for many years was Christopher Columbus. And if you read the journals of the priests who were there at the time, they tell you of the mass destruction caused at his hands. The Papal Bulls allowed them to seize the land that did not belong to Christians. And they killed people. They hung them in groups of 13, representing the apostles and the Savior. They roasted them alive. They smashed the heads of babies on rocks. They enslaved the people. They forced them to dive for pearls till they drowned in their own vomit under the water. The people ran to the hills. Some died of starvation. Some killed themselves rather than suffer at the hands of the Christians. And so I wonder, how can we not teach our students the truth about Columbus? How can we call this man who never came to this country a hero? And we have one holiday for Martin Luther King 20 years ago. So he was the only other individual who has a holiday. In my opinion, the only 2 groups of people who deserve a holiday in this country are the Native Americans who were forced off their land and the African Americans who were brought here and forced to work the land for the white man. And it's got to go. Columbus represents everything, the genocide, the racism, the imperialism, and that people can go out there and celebrate it and be happy about their day off is really disgusting to me. I said, how does anybody who celebrates Columbus Day, what do they do? How do they celebrate? Do you take a boat ride? Do you hang some little ship lights around your house that day? Do you steal something that you always liked, that you always wanted? Just take it, it's the one day get out of jail free pass? I mean, what do you do to celebrate Columbus Day? It's wrong. It's wrong, and we need to put an end to it. 17 states already have.
And the Christians with their horses and swords and pikes began to carry out massacres and strange cruelties against them. They attacked the towns and spared neither the children nor the aged, nor pregnant women, no children in childbed, not only stabbing them and dismembering them, but cutting them into pieces as if dealing with sheep. In the slaughterhouse, they laid bets as to who, with one stroke of the sword, could split a man in 2 or cut out his head. They took infants from their mother's breasts, snatching them by the legs and pitching them against the crags, and snatched them by the arms and threw them into the rivers, roaring with laughter, saying, as the babies fell into the water, "Boil there, you offspring of the devil."
American dream. What is that? The land of the home and free. snatch it right back. I want some wine too, I want some fish too, I want some. Hey, shut the noise, get back under the notice. I'm a blood of a dynasty, heart of a chief. Warriors who rumble and storming beneath my feet. With the pain of my warriors in my blood as it creep. Flexing because we pump as we put in the sleep. Yes, blood of a dynasty, heart of a chief. Warriors who rumble and storming beneath my feet. With the pain of my warriors in my blood as it creep. Flexing because we pump as we put in the sleep. Yes, kill them when you hear me roar. Babylon come to me door no more. Kill them when you hear me sing. Fire of the blood purify everything. Yes, kill them when you hear me roar. Babylon come to me door no more. Kill them when you hear me sing. Fire of the blood purify everything. Everybody rise up and give a call. But does it have to be so difficult? Everybody wondering why this thing is so hard. Get it off your chest and stop drawing bad cards. Everybody rise up and give a call. Why does it have to be so difficult? Everybody wondering why this thing is so hard. Get it off your chest and stop drawing bad cards. Yeah.